Hi friend, it's me again, Johnny, and I want to start talking to you about the chakra system and how the chakra system is an important key element in the meditation practice and how the two interact with each other. Obviously one's a practice, the other one is a part of our being. Now, in order to understand what the chakras are, first of all, it's good to have an idea of what the basic energy of the universe is, and this is called Shakti. It's an all-encompassing word from Sanskrit, and the word Shakti actually means energy. So, personified with the concept of energy is a particular goddess, Shakti, and she is the female counterpart of the god Shiva. And if you understand the basics of Hinduism and the ancient Indian Vedas and the scriptures of India, then you'll know that God exists in this form of male and female counterparts. So we have Shakti, who is the female counterpart of this God figure, if you like, and then you've also got Shiva, who is the male counterpart. And it's almost like the two almost fuse as one. I won't go into it all at complete depth, but put it this way, the one with the power really is the female counterpart, and that's Shakti. She is the one with the power. So in Shiva we see things like, you know, the wisdom, the knowledge and the overseeing of everything, but Shakti is actually the one with the power. Now, Shakti is described as such as this goddess, but what we're really looking at here is the basic power of the universe, the power that is at work in every single thing, whether it's alive, whether it's a physical form, whatever it is, then Shakti is that energy. If you can imagine when the scientists first split the atom, the atomic energy that it was discovered within just one atom, then this is the sort of primordial power of the universe, if you like, and this is quite representative of what Shakti is. Now, Shakti not only is that power, that all-pervasive power, and it comes in lots of different forms. Prana energy is one, you know, the prana is the life force energy that's in everything that's alive, that's in us, in our bodies, and we see this Shakti energy at work in nature, in basically everything. And we know from even modern science now tells us that everything is basically made up of a movement of energy, of waveforms. Even that which looks solid is actually, if you can break it down and look at it at the closest degree possible under the not the electron microscope, you'd have to go even further in to look at it, and you can actually see that at a subatomic level, at a smaller than molecular level, that everything is a waveform, and everything is moving in waves, and energy we know moves in waves. So this is the energy that makes up everything, including ourselves and our own bodies. So back to the chakras, which is what I wanted to speak about. So in the ancient yogic tradition, that it was understood that through the body Everything in the body subsists of the Shakti power. But going through the centre line of the body is a meridian line, which roughly coincides with the spine, which is one of the reasons why in meditation we aim to keep a straight spine, because we want this energy to flow. So that central line, the central meridian, is the main sort of highway, if you can imagine, the main pathway or the main river, as it's often described, which passes through the human body. And when I say the human body, the understanding is that we all have more than one body as such. We don't just have a physical body, we have subtle bodies as well, bodies that we can't see. So spiritual bodies, bodies of energy, etc. So these are sort of almost built layer upon layer within us. So the Shakti energy travels around the body, and it travels through a system of pathways which are known as the nadi. And the nadi that are in number, it said 72,000. There are 72,000 of these nadis that go through the human body. And along the central pathway meridian, we have basically 7 different portals, which are said to be the centres of the energy. Each one is shaped like a vortex, if you like if you can imagine an inverted funnel spinning and turning. And these are pathways from one dimension to another, but they're also the centres of where the nadis meet in the body. And these actually correspond to things like the neural networks of the body. So they actually meet at the same places. So like there's the lymphatic system, there's the neural system, there's the endocrine system, there's all these different pathways, and where there are in the body corresponding places where these are sort of centred, especially if we look at the neural pathways, we'll see that they roughly correspond to where the chakra points are. So we know that there are basically 7 main chakras. There are minor chakras as well in the body, which come off from these. But the 7 main chakras are, we start at the bottom, or at the base of the spine, and going up the spine, roughly following that line of the spine. So we start off with the root chakra at the bottom. Then we move up to the sacral chakra. So the root chakra is roughly at the base of the spine. Actually, it's more or less considered to be sort of around where the perineum is. But that's kind of roughly by the base of the spine. So if we take it there, and then we look at the next one, moving up the sacral chakra, which is round about an inch below the navel. Then we move up to the next one, which is the solar plexus chakra. And actually the word solar plexus actually refers to, which is what we use in English, refers to, well, or Latin, English, whatever Western languages have derived that. It actually refers to the fact that it is a plexus or a centre of these pathways, which were understood in medical science as well. Moving up from there, we have the heart chakra, which is roughly in the thoracic cavity. So round about where the heart is, in that central cavity, in the centre point, not sort of slightly off to the left as in the beating heart, as it were, but it's right in the centre there. And then coming up from there, we have the throat chakra. Then we have between the 2 eyebrows, right there, we have the third eye chakra, which often you'll see in Hindu festivals will be marked the point of the third eye chakra there. Mark it on with some paint or some dye. And then finally, just above the crown of the head, not actually touching the head, but just above the crown of the head, we find the crown chakra. So it's good to kind of use analogies to kind of understand the concepts of what the chakras are, because they don't just represent physical places in the body, they also relate to our ascension as spiritual beings. In fact, the chakra system can be used as analogous for a lot of different areas of development, our evolution, shall we say, our ascension towards the higher planes and the higher states of consciousness. And that's really, through meditation, is the focus that I want to make. So if you can imagine this, we have this central channel that goes through the body, following the spine. If you can imagine that's like a river. So if you imagine right down at the base of the spine, the root chakra, if you can imagine the first stage of our journey of ascent, if you like, is if you imagine that the river was starting off right in the deepest, darkest parts of the jungle, the Asian jungle, say in India somewhere. You may have seen the film The Jungle Book. So just picture that scene. You know, you've got the deep, dense forests of teak wood and things like that. You basically, this is where we're talking about the survival level of the human being. So this is where we start our journey. So that which represents the sort of basic primordial level of existence, where we're fighting for survival. So if you imagine this place where it's basically you're just fighting to survive, you've got to fight off spiders, snakes, tigers, you've got to try and find enough food to eat from the trees by foraging around and trying to get enough. You've got to find somewhere safe to sleep, maybe up a tree, something like that. So you're basically in absolute survival mode. And this is the basic level of existence for the human being. Now, I think most of us, if we live in the Western world, which I do in the UK, and most probably civilised countries, what we call civilised, and there's no insult to anybody that lives in a country that may not have been, I should probably say developed, what is called developed countries. So countries that have, you know, some sort of man-made civilization, where we're not just living in nature as another animal basically, but we've actually developed some sort of civilization around us, whatever that may be. So if you imagine you're in a boat and you're travelling up the river, so you've left your first destination, your first point of call, which is the root chakra, which is the red chakra at the base of the spine. The next port of call would be the sacral chakra, which is denoted by the colour orange. There we go, I happen to have some on my shirt there. And at this point, if you can imagine, the next stopping place is a place of great fun, delight, pleasure, fulfilling your wildest dreams and desires. So let's say, well, in the UK we've got a place called Blackpool, where traditionally people used to go for their holidays and have fun. You know, the fun fairs, the casinos, the dance halls, all this sort of stuff. Back in the day, you got the seaside, you got the beach, the sea, all that sort of stuff. These days, you may look at somewhere like maybe Las Vegas, Dubai, Disneyland. You know, the place. Basically, this next stopping point, I want you to picture as we've gone up the river, we've travelled up, so we're no longer fighting for survival anymore. We're moving up to the next port of call on that river. And this port of call is a bit like a Disneyland, Las Vegas, Blackpool type of place. Every sort of everything there is geared up for pleasure, for maximum pleasure. You know, whether it's eating too much, drinking too much, you know, sex, drugs, rock and roll, you name it. It's all of those things that basically we want to do, but it could be more subtle things than that. It's just basically enjoyment in life. So we're no longer fighting for our survival. Now we've moved to the phase where we want to enjoy ourselves. We want to please ourselves. We want to gratify our desires, our needs in whatever way necessary. Okay. Moving up the river from there. So we've done everything. We've had our needs met. We've moved on to the second place, the sacral chakra, where we get all of our desires met. We're getting pleasure to the max. We're having a jolly good time there. After this, we move on up the river to the third port of call, which is the solar plexus chakra, which is denoted by the yellow colour, also conveniently on my shirt. At this point, what can I describe this point as? It's like if you can imagine the business centre, if you can imagine Wall Street combined with, you know, the Houses of Parliament, some palace, you know, the court, the European courts, whatever. It's the place of power and control. It's the place where the rich, the idle rich, whatever, the power, the people who've got everything, this is the place where they all come because they're not satisfied anymore with just having their needs met and having all the money, all the toys, all the fun, all the excitement. They want some power now. They want some control. Okay. Think of Elon Musk. You know, he's multi-billionaire and he's got all this money, all these businesses. You know, he wants for nothing, but it's not enough for him. He wants to move into the world of politics. You know, that's another story. May not end well, but you know, he's not satisfied with just having all the money and all the toys and getting everything that he wants. He wants some power and control. So the solar plexus chakra is synonymous with our ego, our will, and our desire for control. Okay, so as we've gone up the river, had our needs met, we've had all the fun, now we want the power. Now, for 99% of the population of the world, they are probably satisfied to stay within this section of the river. They don't probably even know that the river goes any further on. They're not really interested. But this is the turning point, because after this point, after the solar plexus chakra, the river starts to get much narrower and much harder to navigate. And if you can imagine, there are signs up saying, don't go any further than this. You've come far enough. You can have everything that you want, everything that you need up to this point. Don't go any further. Danger ahead, you know. Beyond this point lie dragons, they used to put on ancient maps. You know, you've come far enough. Don't go. You know, you don't want to go up there. Don't go up that little brook, that little stream, that little creek. You don't want to go any further up there. Just stay here. We'll get you some more stuff. We'll get you some more fun. Don't you worry. You just stay here. Hang on. Don't go any further. But of course, within the human psyche, within the human experience, when we've got to the point where we've had all our needs met, we've had all the pleasure, all the enjoyment, we've got all the power. It's just not enough, because the human being cries out for more than that. We want to ascend further. We want to go on past that point, because essentially we all know that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. It's not just about us. Up to this point of the solar plexus chakra, it's been all about us. Us, us, us. What can I have? What more can I get for myself? After this point, we're heading up to the heart chakra, which is green. Okay? The journey to the heart chakra is not going to be so easy, because you might have been on a motorboat up the river, you might have been on a hovercraft, you might have been on a hydrofoil, but you were motoring, you were really going for it at a rapid rate of knots up this river, up to this point, and then suddenly you've got to get over a few rapids and round a few bends and whatever, and you're going to go up that creek in a little rowing boat with a little paddle, and you're going to go, and you've got to find your way up there. It's not so easy. It's much easier to stay where you are, but we're going on to the heart, and the heart chakra is the point at which it stops being just about me. It starts to be about love, it starts to be about compassion, kindness, and it starts to encompass not just us, but the others around us. And we start to be aware of the fact that life doesn't revolve around us all the time. There's a world of people, there's a world of nature, there's a cosmos, there's a universe around us. It's not all about us suddenly. Suddenly there's more to life and existence than just us. So, that's the heart chakra. Now, after this point, we continue up this narrow path. And let me say that without something like meditation or some spiritual practice, really we're going to stay down at that solar plexus level. That's presuming that we're not still fighting for our existence. But the chances are that if we want to seek, and if we want to go on further up that river, up through the central channel, and experience these deeper levels of existence, these deeper levels of enlightenment. And enlightenment is what it's about. It's about shining a light and realising that there are other levels of existence beyond the basic ones that we've been used to all of our lives. So meditation is the way, because it stops us from just staying at that level, basically. And this is why we train our awareness. We become aware of ourselves, of our thoughts, of our bodies. We start to gradually quieten the mind. We start to not concentrate on the constant babble of the mind and the thoughts that are coming in all the time, and we start to enter into that silence. And it's in that silence that the heart starts to speak. We're starting to open that chakra, the heart chakra, and we start to realise that the world's bigger than us, and we start to become more aware of things like love and compassion, kindness. And we start to relate to the world around us more. So after this we come to the throat chakra, as I said, which is denoted by the light blue colour, somewhere between those two probably. And this is the centre of communication. So we've gone from becoming aware of that there's more to this existence than just us, and now we're actually at a level of communication. So we're starting to communicate more. And it's about communication. It's about communicating our truth, what's true to us. So we can't sort of swallow the lies anymore. Not so much the lies necessarily that we've told other people, but the lies that we've told ourselves. We've been living a lie for most of the time. We didn't even know it, but our eyes are starting to open and we want to communicate this truth. So there's a need to want to speak about that, maybe to portray it in some artistic form, maybe to want to go out there into nature, generally to commune with this greater existence that's around us. So this is the throat chakra. It's our connection. It's actually going out there and connecting with what's out there. Progressing up to the third eye chakra, which is the indigo colour. Don't have any indigo on me, I don't think. I'm not wearing jeans, but somewhere between blue and purple maybe we find indigo, that darker colour. And for me that's synonymous with the fact that it's kind of, a bit like that really dark indigo sky at night when it's dark and you've got the stars come out and you've got no light pollution. It's like you're looking into what's beyond. That's what the third eye chakra is about. It's our intuition. It's our connection with something outside of this physical world. So up to this point, we've been concerned with, first of all, ourselves and our own needs, then the world, the larger world, our love and our compassion for others, our connection with nature, and then communication, communion with that at the throat level. Now we start to become aware of the fact that there is something even beyond this world, this physical plane in which we reside and have resided for all our lives so far. We now start to realise that there's something more, there's something beyond that. We start to become aware of that through intuition, maybe through psychic abilities, maybe we receive wisdom that's beyond ourselves, something that we haven't just read in a book or seen on YouTube, but wisdom that comes to us and we're not quite sure where it came from, but suddenly we just know the stuff that we start to know in there. So this is the third eye chakra. She's synonymous with the pineal gland in the centre of the brain, which is that centre which connects us with, reality and dreams, reality, the different states of consciousness, if you like. We're moving past the frontal lobe of the brain, if you wanted to talk about it in physiological terms, and we go into a much deeper part of that in there, and we're awakening that spiritual level in ourselves. Okay, and then the final point, which it's not really final because it's actually passing out of our body to this crown chakra, which is synonymous with the violet colour, as you see here. The crown chakra is where we go beyond just knowing and understanding that there is something out there and starting to have glimpses of it, starting to interact with it, if you like, at the third eye level. The crown chakra takes us to the place where we actually understand what is our connection with the universe, with consciousness, with oneness with the divine, with God, with the universe. We start to realise that actually we've seen this stuff that's outside of ourselves, and we actually start to understand and comprehend that we are one with all of this. Essentially, there is no difference between us and the universe, us and God, me and you. We start to comprehend, we start to experience, should I say, that oneness. And this is where we finally get to that level of what is known as Turiya in Sanskrit. It's the little dot at the top of the Om symbol. We've passed through the veil of Maya as we came out of those lower chakras. We've passed through the veil, and now we're actually at that point of consciousness, of oneness, where we understand. We actually are experiencing a oneness with the divine, with the universe, with universal consciousness. We and everything are one. There is no difference between me, you, God, the world, the universe, everything. Yeah, I know. You can't grasp it yet. I can't fully grasp it yet. But that's the journey that we're on. Okay? And enlightened souls for thousands of years have followed this path. So I describe it as a river. You may find lots of different analogies for it. But basically, this is my introduction to what the chakras are. I will be talking more about the chakras as we go on. And I will be talking more about how meditation can help us to explore the chakras, to open the chakras, and how the flow of Shakti energy, which is that basic primordial energy, the female energy of Shakti, how we can allow that to flow through our whole system, right up from the root chakra, down at the base of our spine, all the way up the meridian, right the way through us. And that's what we want to do. We don't want any blockages, because when there are blockages in that flow at any point, this is where we have problems, we have suffering, we have pain, physical, mental, emotional and spiritual. So we'll be exploring how we can traverse this river safely and reach towards our final destination, which is oneness, samadhi, turiya, whatever you want to call it, or however it's described, nirvana, maybe, heaven, maybe. This is a state of existence that is open to you, it's open to me. It's not the reserve of some monk sitting in the Himalayas, some spiritual guru. This is something that we all potentially can experience, and it's a journey that we can all go on. So join me next time, and we'll have a look at, in a little bit more depth, at the chakras. We'll start down at the root chakra, and we'll have a look at that and how that impacts our whole being, and then we'll take this journey together. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. If you want to hear more, then please subscribe, and then you'll get notifications of when the next video goes on. If you like the video, if it helped you, give us a thumbs up maybe. If you've got any comments, if you've got anything that you want to share with me, share with us all, then pop a comment in the comments box as well. In the meantime, have a fantastic day. Much love to you. Namaskaram.